Hello, and welcome to Underneath the Hat podcast, airing every Saturday on the Underneath the Hat YouTube channel. I am speaker, author, podcaster Cherie Simmons, and I'm so happy that you are joining me for season 3 as we discuss blessings and lessons. So I've been blessed to have some amazing guests on, and I've been sharing more about who I am as a podcaster with you. And so I am so excited to bring our guest for today. She is my mentor. She's like a mom to me. She's on my board of directors for my program, Young Ladies at All Times. And so I think it was fitting as we just celebrated our 5th anniversary with YLAAT to bring her on to share her story of her blessing and lesson. Now, I call her Wolverine, and you don't need to know why. Okay. But you all can call her Dr. Trudy Taylor.
Good
Hi, Dr.
evening. How are you?
I'm good. So, first, thank you for joining me on Underneath the Hat as we talk about blessings and lessons.
You are welcome.
So, let's jump right on in. So, what would you say? First, let's tell them a little bit about how we met.
Let's. First of all, let me say that it is a pleasure to be here. Always a pleasure to do things with you. When I see something awesome, I'm not crazy. I want to jump on board. So that's how I felt when we first met. I was becoming the principal of a school where you were the teacher, and you came highly recommended to be the assistant principal. I didn't know you, but what I did know is that you were a baby. You were in your 20s.
Mhm.
And I thought, what can this baby do for the whole school or for my administration? And then as we went out to lunch and started talking, I found that I had strengths in language arts and you had strengths in math, which I definitely do not. So that was a big plus, but that was just the beginning of it. A lot of personality things and a lot of personal experiences that we had mirrored each other's, and so there was just an instant bond. And it was a short-lived situation, not because of us, but because of the school closing. But our relationship has not been short-lived. It is a forever relationship. And you're telling my age when you said that I could be your mom, but I could be. So just, glad to be here. So first of all, I'd like to say that you did ask me a question about a blessing, right?
Mhm.
So if you want to talk about recent blessings, let's talk about the last couple of years. And it kind of relates to what I was talking about with our relationship. The biggest blessing is that I am able to be retired and continue to do everything that I always did. And so I was in a system, Chicago Public Schools, and then retired from South Holland. And I had criticisms, especially about CPS. But now, and I still do, but when I look back, I can say that, um, I worked hard, earned a pension, and my pension is more than the salary that some people will ever have. So just to be able to be at home, be with my family, not get out, not worry about what's happening during COVID, but still travel. Just went to Jamaica in November with my sisters and some of my best friends, and have travel coming up and that kind of thing. Not worrying about a bill that's due, or not being able to keep up with everything that I've been able to keep up with, even though I'm retired, is a huge blessing.
Now, I'm glad that you're on because I get to bend your ear about the whole retirement thing
Okay.
because I have been thinking about my future with CPS, and I hear so many people talk about just get to 20, just get to 20. And
Mm-hmm.
it was my goal to retire from CPS, but I feel like I'm being pulled in other directions in other
Yes.
areas,
Mm-hmm.
especially with Young Ladies at All Times. It's a
Mm-hmm.
dream of mine is to make it across different states
Yes.
and create chapters of it. And so I could ultimately see myself doing 20 and maybe relocating to another state and
Yes.
working in their district,
Mhm.
because we all know that CPS is like the catapult for a lot of
Yes.
people, because they figure if you can make it there, you can make it
You can
anywhere.
make it there.
Yes.
That's right.
So what advice would you give me, um as far as the education system and diving into something new?
So let's talk from a financial standpoint first.
Mhm.
If you do only get to 20 or make it to 20, leave that money there. Don't pull it down. A lot of people that I know who retired early pulled down retirement, thought that they would be able to accrue that money and have it, and they could use it for something then. But almost every person who I've talked to, who pulled it down maybe to start a business or to help an adult child or that kind of thing, they regret it. So
Mhm.
keep that money in your retirement account. If you do go to another state, and I hope to see young ladies at all times go to other states, and you happen to work in the educational system, you can have a couple of little baby pensions. So another state will also afford you a pension. It will be smaller, but when we put a couple of small pensions together, then we have a big pension. The
Mhm.
other thing is pay into some annuities and don't touch it.
Mhm.
I wish that my husband were on right now, because he had some advice a long time ago from a gentleman that he barely knew when he was in his
Mhm.
20s. And he told him, man, pay yourself first,
Mhm.
put some money away in this 401k. I won't tell his business, but if he goes before I go, I'm going to be okay. So
Mhm.
pay into your annuity. Leave your money alone. If you do invest, that's a good thing, but I just hope that it would not be from your pension.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna definitely have to call Mr. Taylor.
Yes,
Um,
you should. You
yeah, I'm definitely going to call.
yeah.
So what would you say has been the biggest lesson you've learned from, especially with the whole retirement thing
Hmm.
and you living your best life? I don't know what it is about educators, but when they retire, they look so much younger when they were teaching. So
uh,
what would you say has been the biggest lesson for you?
my biggest lesson doesn't necessarily relate to working as an educator. It relates
Mm-hmm.
to life in general. You
Mm-hmm.
can It does integrate with your work life, but also with your personal life. And a friend of mine, we've been friends for a long time, and we always talk about roots. And we talk about, maybe a coworker or a boyfriend or a husband, how no matter what they've overcome, no matter what they're doing currently, those roots matter. And so, if you are getting into a relationship with someone, if you are going to be going into business with someone, if you're going to any kind of partnership, know that their background is somehow going to rear its head. Now, it may be an ugly head or it may be a beautiful head, but there's going to be something in a person's past that is going to dictate some of the ways that they handle, especially challenges. And
Mm-hmm.
so, an example of that would be, a person who someone may be dating, and they may think that this person is extremely boisterous or loud or that kind of thing, and they think that they can temper that. Well, that's going to come out in a particular
Mm-hmm.
way. A whole lot of other examples. If a person is used to being a loner and they are your partner in business, they may be a person who may want to take off and do things on their own, and maybe come back to you and show you, but maybe their style of working may be a style of working that is alone. And sometimes we can get offended by how a person's personality is or how those roots come in. But I would say, before entering anything, even like assistant principal and principal,
Mm-hmm.
try to know a little bit about that person and see if there is something in it that may rub in a way that may not make that partnership successful. We did not have that problem, but
No, we didn't.
I've heard a lot of situations where it's
Hmm.
difficulty. So my one word, my one lesson, roots.
Mm. And it's so funny you say that talking about dating because I've jumped back in. I don't think I've ever really dated, but
Ah,
I'm like, oh my God, I have to call you later.
yes,
But
you.
those roots are very important
Yeah.
because I'm speaking to somebody now and I'm
Mhm.
looking at him like, oh my God.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
roots run deep. They're hard
mhm,
to shake loose. Sometimes they never do shake loose. People hold on to certain things. And the thing
mhm,
about it is sometimes they hang on to things that they don't even want to hang on to. But it's
yeah,
hard to be someone different than who you are, even
yeah.
when you want to. So,
Mhm.
you know, Black folks, minority people in minority groups, therapy is a new thing to us. I believe everyone should be talking to someone. Sometimes we find that those roots are most definitely getting in our way. Sometimes they help us, sometimes they get in our way.
Yes. And yes, I have been very open with you about my previous relationships.
Mm-hmm,
You've been
mm-hmm,
with me through both of them.
mm-hmm,
And I've looked to you and Mr. Taylor and the things that you have learned
mm-hmm,
as a model of what it can be,
mm-hmm,
even through the storms that may come. And
mm-hmm.
so right before I came on with you, I had a conversation with a life coach, and
Mm-hmm.
she was telling me things that I need to not look for a project. She
Yes,
said you
ma'am.
need to find someone that's of the same mindset as you.
That is
She said
correct.
you aren't a project, so you shouldn't have to deal with
That's
projects yourself.
right.
So I'm slowly, I have some homework that I have to do,
Yes.
but I'm just glad that I have you in my life, not
Yes.
only as a mentor, but as someone that I can run things by. And so I'm just glad that we've met. I've actually had to,
Mm-hmm.
in our AP meetings, our deputy chief asked us to do our leadership story,
Uh-huh.
like our elevator speech.
Yes.
And I was practicing it today driving to work, and you, Mr. Jordan, Miss Gordon were
Well,
all the foundation of my leadership story because you all
no.
took a chance on me, as you stated. You all saw something in me that I didn't know that I had. And
Yes.
I was able to work under all of you and learn from you,
Mm-hmm.
which has made me the leader that I am today.
Why,
So,
thank you. But your leadership skills were crystal clear to us. And that's
mm,
why we were able to pour into you because there were other people who worked under all three of us too and
mhm,
didn't fare the same. Or anywhere near the same. So a little bit of it may be about us, but it was always you, is what you had in you and what you showed us. And then when you show yourself to be who you are and people see something, they're like, oh, okay. And so
mhm,
don't think we didn't have an opportunity to capitalize on who you were as well as you're capitalizing on us.
mhm.
Reciprocal relationship for sure.
Yes. Well, Dr. Taylor, aka Wolverine,
Yes. Now you're going to have people so curious about
I know. I
why
love to keep it in
Wolverine.
suspense. That'll be our secret.
Yes,
And she calls me Mingo. And if you
yes,
know me,
another
then it's
secret.
I want to thank you so much for joining me on episode 3 of Underneath the Hat as we discuss blessings and lessons. I
You,
love you so much. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you back. Glad to do anything for you, my love.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Talk.
So that was Dr. Taylor, my mentor. And I want to thank her again for joining us on Underneath the Hat podcast, sharing with us about blessings and lessons. I learned so much from her whenever I'm around her. And I just thank her for being the sweet person that she is and for pouring into me. So I want to thank you all for joining us. Make sure you check out my books, Underneath the Hat, and It's That Size for a Reason, where you can find them on Amazon and wherever books are sold. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like on YouTube, Underneath the Hat Podcast. You can also check us out on all podcast platforms: Anchor, Overcast, Spotify, Apple, Google, Breaker, and Pocket Cast. And don't forget to please share, be engaged, leave comments. And if you would like to sew into it, you can sew a Cash App $YLAAT 2017 or Zelle underneath the hats at gmail.com. Again, I want to thank our guest, Dr. Trudy Taylor, for sharing with us her blessings and lessons. And until next week, remember to take care of yourself underneath the hat. I will see you soon.